going on, everyone? We have to go over Bitcoin here because, as you guys can see, we are having some crazy volatility right now, and the market is undecided on whether or not it wants to go up or down at this point. So we're going to talk about that today. Remember, not a financial advisor, none of this is financial advice, but let's get straight into it, guys. So we're pretty much a little bit flat on the day, and in the week, 2.1% down, but the most important thing I think is going to be the longer term time frames. So we're going to start off in the weekly chart and we're going to work our way down. So with the weekly chart here, you can see I already have some stuff set up here. We had three pumps before we had pullbacks inside of each and every single one of these cycles, right? So in 2024, you can see here we had that nice pump, and then we had the pullback. And then by pretty much the end of 2024, going into 2025, we had that pump. Then we had the pullback inside like Q1 2024 or 2025. That was another 32% pullback. The first one was 32%, and it also had a bull flag. And then you can see the next 32% one had a falling wedge. And then this one was supposed to be 32%, but it actually dropped below the price point that I had set at 84K, 85K, and it went below that level. And that's why now it's currently down 36% from this high. And it had a bearish pattern here. It had a bearish expanding triangle, which is a bearish pattern. And then you can also see the other two back here were both bullish. We had the bull flag, and then we had the falling wedge, and those are bullish. So the reason why I want to show this long-term time frame is because something else that I was also tracking here was this. This is the percent R trend exhaustion, and it's actually broken the structure down here. But tomorrow is the 8th, and on the 8th, we're going to see this starting to, go up because this is the weekly chart. So the week of the 8th, which is Monday the 8th, we're probably going to end up seeing a possible recovery. And that's kind of what I'm looking at here. We might see this turning back up, and there's a few signs showing me, or really telling me that it might. For one, here, and two, we have a whole week next week to do well, right? We have and I know you're gonna watch my other videos and be like, oh, he's flip-flopping, and look, I'll bring them up for you. Yes, this is bearish. This bearish pattern could send Bitcoin crashing, and then I have more videos. Bitcoin could take off again if it holds this support. So I'm not 100% bearish and not 100% bullish. I've already gave my criteria for what it would have to be at for me to be 100% either way. So I feel like it's just stupid at this point to talk about it. But then again, not everyone has seen the previous videos where I've actually mentioned the criteria I had. So I guess I'll go over it. But pretty much for me to be fully bearish here on Bitcoin, I need to see Bitcoin going below 74K. That is because that is the high of this one in 2024, and that is the high, or close to the high, of 2021, and that is the previous low that we had, which I have our whole Fibonacci set up on because it's the previous swing low. So that is exactly why if it goes below 74K, I'm completely bearish. Now, I'm completely bullish if I start to see it getting back above the previous all-time highs, right? And I know that some people might say, "Oh man, that's too late. That's too late." To me, it's not too late, but I'm partially bullish if we get to 109K, right? That is the high of that previous rally, and that is the same level around the same time period for us to get back into this structure for this pattern here. Now, obviously, this pattern is now obsolete because we've already broke out of it, and it was a bearish pattern, which is why I love these patterns so much. It's a bearish expanding triangle. That's why it broke down like that. But this is important because once we get past that point, it's probably going to be around the same time period as we get past this, which means there's a possibility that Bitcoin could be above 109K, or at least at 109K. I'm not saying above. Maybe it hits like 104K or something and gets rejected. I don't know if it'll break past that, but possibly by the end of December. or yeah, the end of December, beginning of January, something like that. But yeah, by the end of December, if we can do that, then I will be bullish on Bitcoin again. But if we cannot get past this 109K level by the end of December, then I will not be bullish. All right. So again, if we break below 75K, I gave you the reasoning. If we break below 74K, then I will pretty much be bearish. If we break above 109K, I already gave you the reasoning, then I will be bullish. So that's pretty much how I'm seeing that. Now, this, we're just going to have to wait for this to form up because this is going to be on the weekly chart. And next week is going to be very important. On the 10th, we have the Fed's interest rate decision that is going to literally affect the whole crypto market. It is what it is. The United States, we affect everything. Everywhere we go, we affect it. Okay. So the crypto market is going to be affected by the US and by the interest rate decision. So you have to be focused. You have to be focused on the 10th around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's New York time on the 10th. So yeah. And also when you look at the MACD on this, it does look like so much selling pressure to the point where it might reverse soon. We might see a bullish reversal to the upside. So, it can go either way at this point. I'm not leaning too far to the left or to the right at this point. This is the daily chart. The short-term trend is breaking past the long-term trend on the %R trend exhaustion. Usually when that happens, the short-term trend always follows the long-term trend. So if the long-term trend is staying down, then once the short-term trend breaks out, it will eventually come back down to the long-term trend. So this is also where I show like the risk of us not being able to have a breakout. So this is why we also have the risk of crashing. And also we're in a rising wedge, which is also a bullish or a bearish pattern. This is the rising wedge right here. It's a bearish pattern. So we're in a bearish pattern on the all charts pretty much. The daily chart is showing that we're having a weak long-term trend, which means it's pretty bearish for that. And then when we look at the weekly chart, we see that we have a possible structure that could be reversed here, or it could be broken and it could continue downwards. So that is another factor. So you really can't be 100% sure. And that's why you shouldn't be leaning too far to the left or to the right. Me personally, I'm waiting right now. And this is the 4-hour chart. Look at how low the short-term trend is, but the long-term trend is up here. What does that mean? The short-term trend follows the long-term trend. So if the long-term trend is up here towards the overbought areas and it's just trading sideways, that means that when the short-term trend comes back up, what's going to happen? The price is going to jump. So that is another thing. Like we could have pretty soon maybe a push up to 93K again, trying to break past this. But remember, we're still inside of a bearish pattern, so it could break down there if it even tries that. So yeah, you got to pay attention to that too. And then the 30-minute. 30-minute showing the short-term trend continues to break out, but the long-term trend continues to stay bearish. If it happens again, you're just going to see this sideways trading movement until it finally dumps, or until the long-term trend starts to break out. And then we have a dump after that. So that's another possibility. So, it's really 50-50 right now. So that's all I can give you. I can't say whether or not it's going to break out or not, but we do have a bearish pattern here. And we have bullish structure kind of. We're kind of creating bullish structure right now. But we'll see if that's broken. We're making higher lows here, and our highs are starting to get higher as well. But we're going in a rising wedge, which is a bearish pattern. So even though our highs are getting higher, well, kind of, our lows are definitely getting higher. We'll see what's going to happen because this is bearish rising wedge. So this is pretty much all I got for you guys today, though. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. As always, I'll be back with another video.